Giganthropithecus was a prehistoric ape that roamed the greater parts of Asia. We know them from teeth alone, teeth and 3 jaw bones, mandibles, partial mandibles. They've reconstructed this. We have a reconstruction of a Giganthropithecus skull here in the museum, and it's the one pointed to by most of the scientific Bigfooter types, because as a scientist they have to have something tangible to point to. And I would suggest that Giganthropithecus is a perfect model for the Yeti and some of the large ape-like beings that are described in parts of Asia. Because these teeth, these gigantoteeth, they were found as far as India, clear over to Vietnam. And you know, in Vietnam there are sites where they have bones of Homo erectus in situ with Giganthropithecus. So the idea of this giant ape interacting with human types in the past is quite likely, because we do have fossils that indicate that. So yeah, you know, the Giganthropithecus is a great model for you know, a possible ancestor of the modern orangutan, or a relative thereof. And it could very well be what people are seeing in the Himalayas. You know, but the apes in the Himalayas are not necessarily completely bipedal. That's an assumption we make. And I would suggest that a quadrupedal animal like a gorilla, if it's living in an alpine forest, and there's snow during the winter, and then the forest is in a valley, and the valley runs out of food, well, then this ape has to cross the ridges to get to the next valley on the other side of the mountain. And when they do that, they are exposed to these snowfields. And they have taken chimpanzees and put them in the snow. And they immediately stand upright. They have an instinctive knowledge that the snow can be harmful. And they'll stand upright for 8 hours at a time, at least, according to these experiments that were done years and years ago. So it would be selective for an ape that lives in mountain valleys in a snowy country to be able to walk upright for extended periods, to be able to get across that snow, because and that makes a lot of sense. And so the idea of Giganthropithecus being a model for the modern Yetis and other such things does make sense. But when you and also when you look at the tracks of the Yeti, the iconic track that Shipton photographed on Mount Everest with the pickaxe next to it, and you see that it has a large toe that sticks off to the side. The toes are all curled because they're trying to get warm. And then there's a second toe and a little bit of space between them, and then 3 toes in a row. Now that is not anything like a human footprint, except that there's a total of 5 toes. And the Yeti print is about as wide as it is long. So that is obviously something more likely to be from an ape-like foot than from a foot of a human being. You look at the Sasquatch tracks, like the Patterson track, for example, and others, and they look like humans, large, flat-footed human feet. So to be stuck with the Sasquatch being a Giganthropithecus, I think is begging the question. I don't think we have proof of that yet, and I don't really understand why so many people want to lock in on that so hardly, especially when there's plenty of other research that indicates that the Sasquatch could very well be a relict hominin, one of our relatives, something that was left over and that still survives to this day. And that is also a very plausible hypothesis, especially in light of the DNA evidence, which proves how much inbreeding there was between hominids a few tens of thousands of years ago. So, yeah, well, Giganthropithecus, yeah, it might be the modern version of some of these mystery primates that are seen on the planet, but it certainly doesn't explain the little bitty ones, and it also doesn't explain the ones that have human-like